Hey, welcome back to the podcast, Mike.
Hey, how you doing, man?
Pretty good. Hey, just want to introduce you to the audience. Who do you say you are?
I am Michael Agbaere, and I guess if you want to go by a shirt, Christian, husband, dad, and engineer. So,
Awesome. And what have you been up to this year? Catch me up.
yeah, where do I start? I know last time we talked about, well, I know we mentioned the event planning business that we have. I guess on that front, we have branched out to do kind of a, what you call it, design company, as well. So
Okay.
making merch like this shirt, um, you know, bags, mugs, stuff like that, just custom things. I'm actually in my wife's workstation area now.
Nice.
But yeah, that's something that we've been working on. That was another passion that she had. She was already making stuff for our kids, so she just made it a business. What else? What else? My kids are six. Well, my son is six now. My daughter's three. She just turned three last month.
Oh,
Um, So it's definitely been a journey. I think last time we talked, it was it before Corona, I think, or was it in the midst of it?
I think it might have been right after it, actually. I want to say like
Okay,
21. So two
yeah,
years. Wow,
okay,
2 years.
yeah, that's a long time, man. It's a long time. So yeah, man, a lot has happened since then.
Yeah. It's like
But
time
yeah,
just
man,
flies
just been
by.
yeah, but yeah, just been focused on work. Working at a consulting firm now. Still working from home, so juggling that is interesting. I think we talked about last time. Um, my thoughts of working from home and my thoughts now definitely different.
Yeah.
Especially when we got kids in the house. So it's a challenge some days. But
Gotcha.
yeah, man, overall everything's good. Just you know, just trying to educate these kids. I know my wife has been focused a lot on just getting them exposed to different activities.
Mhm.
Um, like right now, she's doing the whole summer school thing with them. She'll teach them for a couple hours in the morning and they
Mhm.
go out and have fun and all of that. So yeah, man, just a interesting balance. So, but a lot of things have changed for sure.
That's what's up. I guess with like being at home and continuing to be able to work from home, does that make it more flexible for you to like take them on the road, travel, and things like that, and kind of still be able to, especially since it's summer? Like, is it
Mhm.
you guys can kind of just like move around and you don't have to worry about like, okay, hey, do we have to check in here? Do we have to do this? Do we have to do that? It's like you just get up and go, kind of.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess you can think about it that way. Yeah, because for in the trip, I mentioned I went to Florida last week.
Hmm.
During that trip, worked a couple of days, and then I was off to hang with the family. So yeah, it was yes, definitely flexible.
Gotcha.
And then me being in the position I am now, leading the team, I can definitely work around. Hey, if I'm gonna be out, make sure I get all this stuff done
Right. Right.
ahead of time, and I can shift whatever meeting I need to shift or schedule it ahead of time the way it needs to
Mm.
be scheduled. So yeah, definitely more flexible.
Have you missed anything about being like in an office or constantly having to see people like face to face?
There are some aspects, you know, especially during the summer. The kids are here. Sometimes they get a little loud, active, which no, I mean they're kids. So,
Right.
but I know those moments I'm like, "Hey, shh, 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 I'm on the call. Just go back, go back." Um, and some days, uh, just thinking about the days when I was in the office, there are some days where I can just sit there and just focus. People around me, just put on my headphones, nobody bothers me.
Mhm.
And I'm able to really knock some things out. I know being at home, can't put on headphones. I gotta, have one ear out to see if someone's doing something or maybe got hurt or something like that. So it's definitely a balancing act there. There are moments where my wife takes them out to go do something. They go outside. They take a nap, which we definitely make sure we implement. They gotta take those naps. And then it's better in those moments. But I was just talking to some coworkers yesterday about just really building relationships with people in
Mm.
the remote space and how there are some challenges
Yeah.
with that. Of course, in the office, you can always walk up to somebody, "Hey, how you doing?" or see somebody in the lunchroom or something like that.
Right.
Here, you
Right.
have to make a intentional effort to go to certain events or to attend certain events and reach out to people directly and all of that. Cause, they may be in DC and, you're in Georgia or Seattle or whatever. So
Mm.
it's definitely more work, but I feel like one thing I did mention is I feel like if you're in the office, you can kind of be in that same mode too. If you just always a person that stays at your desk, you can still miss people. So
Right,
you still got
right.
to make a conscious effort to go out, meet people, say hi, engage in conversation. So
Yeah.
same, but you just don't see the people. So,
It's interesting how like just the ability to socialize as well as like socialize with work. It's almost like a muscle you got to exercise. If you don't do it
yes,
for a while, it's like, man, like this thing is man, this thing's taxing. Do I know how to do this? It's like, okay, hey, like you can type
yeah,
or you can email someone something, but then when you see someone face to face, it's like you're trying to
right,
get your word and grasp your words. But like something I found recently is just supporting one of my friends that he's a strength and conditioning coach for the University of Louisville, and
okay,
he's started kind of a company for himself on the side using his experience and using the expertise of other people that he's trained and things like that. And he had this
mhm,
beginning workout, and I was like, I'd like to support it, and like being an affiliate, I can promote it and say like, oh, hey, like try this out and get
yeah,
10% off or something like that. And I was like, I could probably use it just to do something for myself, because it's like I've
yeah,
noticed that even before our conversation, I went out and I did like this weekend warrior workout. Is like 4 exercises, 3 sets, and just doing the exercise, taking a rest, and then going out for a walk, coming back. I'm like, okay, because I got my body moving and active a bit, I
mhm,
feel calmer mentally to where I'm not
mhm,
having to like panic to be like, okay, where are my words? It's like
yeah,
like my body's at ease just because like I made it do something once I got kind of got up and got out, and I was like, let me look at this calendar. I've been doing it for about like 7 weeks now. And I'm like, hey,
yeah.
I'm moving
Oh,
right along.
nice.
It's supposed to be a 12-week program. And it's like, I, I've kind of taken some of the dreaded things out of it. Like if I'm not going out and trying to run a marathon or anything like that
Right,
just yet, but it's like I've slowly every other day, like started to implement things. And it's like, okay, it might not happen in the morning, but I'll get it in the afternoon. And
right,
just like
right.
you're saying, just making those small attempts at like, okay, let me flex this muscle. If it's too much weight, if I can't even do the weight, let me find like an alternative exercise or something. But
Yeah.
it's cool
Mhm.
to see that kind of come up in the workplace. And it's like, man, did I take this stuff for granted, or like, okay, I got to do better. Like, let me let me work on that.
No, it's interesting that you said that when as soon as you said you haven't done, really engage with people in a while, it can be awkward when you finally do it. I have an older friend who invites me to events. I actually went.
Mhm.
It was early this month, or yeah, early this month. Well, I'm sorry, it's July, so
Yeah,
early in
last
June.
month.
So yeah, I went and I was there and I was like, man, just feel out of place now. Now I'm in front of people. Now I have to engage in conversation. And you know, luckily, I'm not gonna say luckily, but
Mhm.
I didn't notice that it was uh, a woman in the room. She generally kind of like looks around and see what people she can talk to. So she kind of mosey over to me. It was like, yeah, I see you over here by yourself. Just, figured you needed needed someone to someone to talk to. And I was like, yeah, yeah,
It's like you saved me.
yeah. Right, right. You saved me. You got me going. After that conversation, that kind of got me warmed up, and started going around talking to people. So yeah, definitely need to flex that muscle. Definitely need to keep things going.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned the workout piece. That is something I did enjoy about working out in the morning when I used to.
Mm.
Um, I would get up. Well, aside from waking up at 5 a.m. But yeah, it was nice kind of getting my body going. Once I
Yeah.
got back, I was already up, already ready to go. And as you were saying, I think I definitely should get back to that because I definitely felt more alert and more ready.
Yeah.
'Cause I feel like with days without that, wake up, just kind of jump into, oh, let me make breakfast, do all that, and then any little thing would probably be, will agitate me a little bit because I'm, still so tired, not ready really to get up and go. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's encouraging just to know because even yesterday for myself, I made myself go to a restaurant and just sit down. And
Mm,
because I was looking and I was like, okay, I'm near a college town. And I was like, I was thinking about moving, but I was like, am I trying to run to something or like do I really need to move or something like that? And I was like,
right,
okay, part of the challenge that I can take on is trying to make my space beautiful, like looking forward to being like, okay, like the room that I have, it's something to look at. Like, okay, like how can I make it look better? Like instead of making it look like a storage closet, I might not be like a I might not be a a what do they call it? An interior designer or
right.
anything like that. But I think if I think of something, or even if I ask someone for help, I could be like, "Hey, like, what's something I can put?" I can maybe find like I have a sign over there that says "Walk by Faith." I can hang it up, or I
Hmm.
could find like a fake flower arrangement and just put it there. Just something to be like, "Okay, hey, this looks like a space that's lived in, not like a
Hmm.
dump, but something
Right,
that's lived in." And
right,
yesterday, I was like, I got off work. Yes, you worked 5 days. It's the end of the weekend. And no, I don't want to go to a bar. That's never been my scene, but I do want to go out, maybe socialize or just be around people. So I was like,
right,
let me shower, let me get dressed, like let me iron this shirt that's not just a t-shirt, but like maybe one of the collared shirts that I have
right.
short sleeve. And I was like, I'll just put it on. Don't wear a hat. If you want to shave, you can shave tomorrow, but just get out of the house, go to this
Right.
restaurant that seems popular and like just sit down. Like I sat down, ordered a margarita, had a taco and had a water with it. And I was like, I felt kind of like uneasy because at first I was like, maybe I'll sit at the bar, but it's kind of crowded. I was like, oh, let me
Yeah.
just see if I can have a seat over there somewhere.
Mhm.
And like even though there was like a little bit of uneasiness, maybe I stayed there for like 30 minutes. And um by the time I finished my margarita, I was like, I need to sit for a minute. Like I don't drink normally. And it's like for someone that doesn't drink and it's like, oh, I'll just have one small drink and have
Yeah.
a water to go with it. It's like all the alcohol collects at the bottom. So you got to make
Mm,
sure that you kind of sat down and just like, okay, just chill. No one's coming after you, no one's chasing you. There's plenty of chairs and tables and
right.
everything else for people to sit at, but they had live music. The waitress was
Oh,
nice.
nice.
The like just the sense was nice, and it was funny because going there, I had one person in front of me that was driving, and they seemed like they were, I don't know if they were lost or they were trying to find their place. And of course, when we turned into the restaurant, I'm like, of course we would be going to the same restaurant. But it's like I just parked at a distance and I was like, I don't want to make it more awkward. But
Right.
um just overall, just telling myself to do things like that and
Mhm.
just be like, okay, hey, you tried a thing, you said you were gonna do it, you went out, like you put your foot forward. Like, yes, you might need an image consultant to like update your style, or you might need these other things, but it's like not
Right.
today. Just get
Right.
out, go do the thing again next week, wherever you're at. Like challenge yourself to get out there a little bit more because I've definitely felt myself get real comfortable. And I'm like,
Mhm.
I think I'm comfortable, but at the same time, I'm being lazy. And
Mm.
not to like please anybody, but like I'm not comfortable with the end result where it's okay, like just kind of sitting, okay. And it's like if I don't make an
Mm.
effort to do something, I'm not gonna be further along next year. Like
Mm.
next time you see me, if it's just like, oh yeah, like you're really doing it, and I'm sitting here like, nope, I didn't do anything. I just spent every weekend indoors, didn't do
Mhm.
anything, maybe read my book, put my feet up, chilled, slept. And it's like there's nights for that, but just yesterday I was like, today's a good night to just get out, even if it's just go for a drive and come back. At least you didn't spend 5
Yeah,
hours indoors and just slept another 8.
yeah, yeah. You're speaking to me a little bit now here, man. I was felt like I was thinking that stuff yesterday because I was actually supposed to go out with some friends yesterday, and I like you were saying, yeah, don't worry about shaving and all that because you come up with those things to come up with an excuse not to go.
Yeah.
I feel like I probably came up with some stuff that I let get in the way
Mm.
because um I saw it looking like it was about to rain. I was like, nah, it's in Buckhead. I'm in Lilburn. I don't know if I want
Mm.
to make that drive.
So do I
Um,
really want to drive all the way out
right,
there? It's
right,
like,
right, right. Do I really want to go out there? And then he said, he told me it was at 5 because he didn't tell me it was at 5 until the day before, and I was like, 5 on a Friday? It's like, yeah, man, you really don't want me to come, huh? So yeah, I came with a few reasons. Then I was like, yeah, I was in the middle doing laundry, so I need to finish that.
it's like I
Yeah, I
can't let
came
it
with a whole
sit
bunch of
in there. It's like if I
right,
let the
right,
laundry sit, it's gonna stink after 2, 3
right.
hours. Then I gotta
Yeah,
redo the
yeah,
laundry. And it's like, come on.
yeah, man.
I
Yeah, I
gotta
came
be
with a whole bunch of reasons.
responsible. It's like I gotta be dad. Come on. Like,
I came with a whole bunch of reasons, and then like the week because it's a group of three of us that used to go out. They actually invited some other people this time.
nice.
But yeah, one guy in the group. I mean, side of the group is two guys are married, one guy's single. So generally, the other guy that's married, his kids are very active. They're older, so I say every now and then, but there's a high percentage of the time he'll say, "Hey, I can't make it." So I was like, in my mind, I was like, well, thinking about the math. I've come at least 90% of the time. I can not go this time. My percentage is still high.
Yeah.
But nah, man. I mean, yeah, I definitely need to get out. I know for me, working at home has disadvantages, but then it gets you kind of comfortable just being at home.
Mm.
So, you get off work and you just roll over to the couch and all right, cool, I'm not going anywhere for the day.
Yeah.
'Cause I was thinking about the times where I was commuting back, but someone said, "Hey, you want to stop by?" Yeah, I may stop by on the way home. So I'm already out, so I might as well
Right.
just stop and
Right. Right.
enjoy some company with friends before I go home. But yeah, if I'm at home, nah, nah. And then I'm calculating all this stuff I just said. Oh no, the distance is Friday. I don't know. I still got to work. So yeah, definitely been trying to get myself out more.
Mhm.
I want to use my the fact that I have kids and all that as an example, as an excuse to not to go out. Everyone has kids. Everyone has situations and stuff at home.
Yeah.
Yeah, just trying to be more intentional about getting out. Because I mean, even with that, that's a part of my own self care. I need my own space. To socialize with other adults and stuff like that.
Right.
So
Right.
I know one thing my wife have been doing. Probably me not as much these days, but we have our mom day, dad day,
Mm.
where they go out, we go out, she gets her nails done and all that other stuff just
Mhm.
to kind of get away. Like I said, I haven't done mine in a few months, so I definitely get back to that. I generally I generally haven't, I just haven't scheduled it. That's
Yeah.
the thing. So if I put it on the calendar and let it be there, then she'll know, oh, okay, on this day, he's going to be gone. I need to plan around that.
Right.
For her, hers is scheduled out months in advance. So
Mhm.
once I see it on the calendar, I said, well, she's not going to be here. So I'll just have to plan around her not being here. So yeah, just
But
trying to be more intentional about getting out and making time for me and stuff like that. So
that's what's up, man. And it's inspiring to me because like seeing other people like yourself that are my age and most people that I know at this point are married, and it's like being the being the single person, it's like, okay, I think there's a part of me that's like, well, okay, like maybe you want to get on it a little bit, or at least start making efforts, because it's like
yeah.
if you never try anything, or at least
Mm,
when we talk about the self-care part, and I see my coworker that's very good at caring for himself, where he's organized and keeps like his space neat and tidy. And it's like if someone can have children and still be able to manage, like they kind of lay out what's there, it's there's less there's more incentive for me to be more intentional and to be like, hey, okay, I may not have kids, but I think I can also contribute to the space and
Right.
just be a person of, I don't know if I'd say value maybe, but just like bring something else to where it's like, okay, hey, like I did something interesting. And like sometimes people live vicariously through you. Maybe they're like, hey, tell me, tell me about this. Did you tear up the town, this, that, or the other? It's
Right.
like, no, but like at least if it's like I have this conversation with you and even just
Mhm.
sharing something like that with somebody, they're like, oh wow, like I didn't know that. Like, tell me more about this person. I was like, oh, you can watch it or here's something that I learned that I didn't know. And it's like it's just cool, like kind of getting out of yourself at times.
Yep.
I'm
Yep.
finding and just kind of getting back to the things that have worked in the past and just knowing that it doesn't it doesn't have to be a tyrannical thing where it's like this
Mhm.
has to happen every single day at this time. It's like, okay,
Right.
if
Right.
it's if it just feels like oppressive to a sense, it's like maybe I need to tweak this, but I get to decide that. So that's kind of comforting and just being like, okay, if I'm too lax with just deciding things that don't feed me or like kind of lead to anywhere, it's like, okay, like let's try something different or like let's tweak it a little bit.
Hmm. Yeah. 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 You definitely have that control to do so. So, definitely take advantage of it. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like awareness of that's the definitely the first good step of that. So,
Yeah. I guess what's it been like since you guys have gone full steam ahead into the design business and just making the items and things like that? Is it just flying off the shelves or are you guys getting a lot of requests?
I mean, we're getting a lot of local requests. We actually have a friend who is a manager who is getting some stuff for her team. So that's probably uh it's probably going to be the biggest order. Which we're
Mm,
hoping that kicks off into other stuff for the company.
nice.
Um, at least that's the plan. So we'll get her team some stuff. Other people at the company will see it, and then they'll kind of branch off that way. But no, I mean, we've started off with supporting a coach at my son's school who was branching off to do his own kind of basketball men's development type of thing. Uh, like funny enough, he was ordering a whole bunch of stuff, and I was like, wow. I mean, we didn't expect him to be ordering so much because he just ordered a few shirts and we was like, all right, cool, we
Yeah.
got you set. Then came back and said, no, I need 10 more. I need hoodies. I need this. I need that. I said, okay, cool, man. And then of course, people seeing what he has, people are inquiring, hey, where'd you get that from? So yeah, we've got stuff from people that have known him, people from church. We make think on on what day was that? We had made some shirts for church. And
Mhm.
we had all went in as a group and people saw them and they're like, oh yeah, who made that? And we got some orders off of that. So it's definitely moving.
Nice.
We definitely exploring other things to make. Wife just made some water bottles, put it on the site and all of that. So, definitely exploring with different things, and just kind of, improving our skills and making things. 'Cause I know we were
Mhm.
making some stuff before, and it wasn't the best quality, but that's what happens when you're starting off.
Yeah.
Now we're at a phase where we're making stuff that's better after doing some more research. But yeah, we've definitely been supporting a lot of people that have businesses around us.
Mm,
One of her cousins just got a event hall. She needs some shirts for her team and all of that. So we've been doing a lot. It's been picking up a lot more than a lot more than we thought it would be.
gotcha.
And the event planning is still going good too. So she's me and her juggling those things. So yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun
Nice.
doing that on the side. So
So I mean, if I remember right, you said it started out with the event planning and then the designing came as a like as a what's the word? It like came up as a pairing to it. or
Uh,
they're kind of two different things?
Kind of two different things. I'm trying to figure out how we even started the design thing. Guess, yeah, I guess it mostly just came. She's wanted to. Oh, I know where it came. Son goes to a new school.
Mm,
They have, they have to wear a certain T-shirt to school every day. Um, and she was paying for those. She was like, "Man, these things are expensive." So she started looking up. Hey, how can I make my own? So she started making some. Started making a few, and she enjoyed saving the money. Enjoyed the design piece of it. So she started making other stuff.
mm,
Shirts for other events that happened at the school, and people just kept saying, "Oh, yeah, how can I get a shirt like that? How can I get a shirt like that?" So she started building stuff around just stuff for the school.
mm.
And then she just started venturing out to do other stuff, bottles and all of that. So kind of a separate thing. Um,
Gotcha.
but there are weddings and stuff like that where the wedding party wants some shirts, and make those as part of the cost and all of that. So I mean, it's some um, intersection in the
Yeah,
midst there too. So.
that's what's up. It's like, how do they say, it's born out of necessity, kind of, but then you have a bit of
Mhm.
that curiosity from your wife where it's,
Right,
hey, let me see how I can do this, and that's pretty
right.
neat. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, man, it's been fun. Definitely been fun. Um, I know on aside from that, I know me and my wife have been doing a lot of. I know you mentioned, talking with other people. We've been doing a lot of that ourselves as far as just helping people that are single. Me and my wife just recently. There's a group that her cousin has where they're a group of women. It's a kind of a Christian group.
Mhm.
And I want to say all the women in that group are just happen to be single. So they've been having a lot of conversations about, you know, what does marriage life look like? How to
Mhm.
how to navigate the single life and all of that. So they've had people come in and talk on different topics.
Oh, that's
Um,
what's up.
yeah, they had me and my wife. I actually just did mine this week, and my wife did it some weeks ago,
Mhm.
where we were sharing our experience being single, how that transitioned into the marriage side of things. And it was quite fruitful. I mean, me and my wife don't shy away from sharing our experiences. I know for us, when we first were dating and thinking about getting married, we asked a lot of people, "Hey, what should we expect? What should we expect?" And a
Mhm.
lot of people that were real close to us didn't give us any useful advice. Well, no, I don't say any, but like about the deep stuff, they didn't really mention all of it. So, when
Were
we
they
were
kind of tight
experiencing,
lip? They were kind of tight
yeah,
lip about it.
yes, yes, yes. So when we got into it, it was like, man, y'all, I'm going through this. And then that's when, oh, yeah, I went through that too. I was like, so why didn't you mention that before? We could have been ahead of this.
Mhm.
So, our approach is if somebody's asking us, we're going to be straight. Like,
Yeah,
this is the good, this is the bad, this is the ugly. So, but there are ways to get through it. And these are the things you should focus on to help you get through it. It's going to happen. It's no
mhm.
way to kind of avoid some of the stuff you're going to run into. But these are some ways that you can, get through it.
Gotcha.
So, and in that group, we mentioned, of course, your walk. Since it was a Christian group, your walk with Christ.
Mhm.
Communication, which is important, and just really showing respect for that person and yourself, and kind of getting to know them. So those are the key things that I mentioned. So yeah, I
Gotcha.
mean, I enjoy just supporting people using my experience to help them in their journey. So I've been doing that a lot more these days when people inquire. I don't shy away from it. I say, hey, I'm
Mhm.
gonna share all this. You can take whatever you want to take. If you don't want to take any of it, that's cool, but you got it. So
Right. I guess I'm curious, how was it received? Like, how are you guys received in the singles group there?
actually after mine, my wife, after I got off, her cousin did like a I guess a poll. Hey, what did y'all think? What did y'all take away from it? They definitely appreciated. They asked a bunch of questions during the Q&A section about communication tools on navigating. Um, you know, say someone is wanting sex and all of that, how you navigate that space. I mean, they asked some very tough questions and whatnot. So I definitely I definitely got the sense that they were really engaged and really into the conversation and really trying to just get some tools.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, I feel like it was well received. For them, they got the woman's perspective from a bunch of people, and they just wanted to get a man's perspective. Hey, how do you see this from a man's perspective? And I gave what I could. So
Yeah.
yeah, they definitely appreciated it.
That's what's up. I mean, I guess something I learned earlier this year is just, I guess people maybe have different feelings or thoughts about it, but just like having an understanding of where the importance of marriage is maybe placed, like in churches and things like that, when they ask like,
Yep.
does this church have an active singles ministry, and does that single ministry like look to actually encourage people to marry? Do they talk about the things that may be taboo, or like
Yeah.
do people
Yeah.
kind of just play church and then just wave at
Mhm.
each other and just be like, okay, yeah, I'll just see
Yep.
you? And it's like we just kind of separate and act like you hang out with the guys, you hang out with the boys, and it's like the world
Hmm.
kind of grows up past adolescence. But sometimes it seems
Yep.
like in church we just stay in adolescence, and it's like I, I
Mm.
don't know. Is that, have you had any experiences like that, or has this been, was this group a little different, or do you think they're kind of pushing towards like actually engaging their singles?
Well, so this was, I mean, so I don't think those, oh, no, I definitely don't. Yeah, a lot of those women don't go to the same church. So definitely
Gotcha.
wasn't the same in that sense.
Mhm.
They were just a group of, I don't know how they even know each other. I guess they're just a group of friends that know each other and they're just supporting each other. I mean, because they are a group of lawyers, health professionals and all of that. And they're
Mhm.
just, they're some of them are pretty young. They're coming up. They're just trying to make sure that they're navigating things in a Christian way. So they've been getting a lot of people to come in and kind of speak to them, and they're thinking about stuff that they learn in church as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Because to your point, yeah, there are churches that they have the singles thing and they just kind of go out and just do activities together, but I don't know if they actually really go through, have those deep conversations about and try to support people in that sense. I know
Right.
for the church I go to now, I'm in the marriage group and when we meet, we have a lot of talks about, improving the marriage and stuff like that. And then of course we go out and do our fun things. But
Mhm.
for the most part, we're fellowshipping together. We're talking about how, what Christ thinks about certain aspects of your marriage and how to develop it. And I'm hoping that they do that in the singles part. Of course, wouldn't know, on the
Right.
single
Right.
side, but I would think they're doing the same in that perspective. But yeah, it definitely depends on the church, and I would hope that they are providing some, their members with some kind of content that they can use to
Yeah.
actually go out there and do things.
Yeah. I guess like um when I think about it, I've heard it said that like most church are heavily female nowadays, and that not a lot of men are encouraged to go to church. Like me myself, I haven't been to a church long term in a few years, like few years, like maybe
Mhm.
pushing closer to 6. And
Okay.
but I guess I say that not to really blame anyone, but I brought that up like as you mentioned it, because one thing when I was looking back at like early this year, and I know different people have feelings about the gentleman, he passed away last year, but I came across some of his videos and speaking about Kevin Samuels, and just
Mm.
like seeing the backlash from him and just from things I've seen, I don't know, like not from him necessarily, just like the reactions, like the adverse reactions that people have to things where they're like, okay, they'll label someone or they'll say this person is this thing. But I
Mhm.
in trying to practice listening to people and actually hearing what someone says from the mouth, it's like they might not
Yep.
have everything right, but if they at least highlight on some things where I'm like, okay, I think I can use that, and really it's not to demean the opposite sex or demean women, but I think listening to some of the things, like some of his videos, longer form, like 3 hours, of course I could speed through it, maybe watch it at double speed and like kind
Mhm.
of key in on the things where it would be like monologue there. there's several things that he highlighted that I was like, I hadn't thought about that, or like that these things are just not talked about, where it's like, okay, yes, there's a part about accountability, but there's the thing about you can't um you can't complain about what you're not getting, or what's not coming to you, if you're not willing to be out in the place where life is happening. Like
Yeah.
if I can't go to the coffee shop and sit down and see people, I
Mhm.
can't be upset that I don't run into anyone. And I try my best not to complain about, I don't have this, I don't have that. I've been in more of the mindset of maybe I don't need to have this, but instead of like, it's like, how would you say, being in the opposite sense, where it's like woe is me, or like, oh, I deserve this. It's like, on the one hand, I'm like, I don't really deserve anything, but I have an opportunity to earn something. Maybe I can earn someone's respect, someone's time,
Yeah.
and I have to be courageous in that. And I'm sure there are some churches that have like an active singles ministry, and it's on me to maybe go and find those things. But one of the churches that I attended when I lived in Augusta for like 4 years, I liked how they dug into the Bible, dug into the Word, and
Mhm.
since then it's kind of encouraged me to like read the Bible for myself and actually
Yeah.
understand. Okay, this isn't a science book. Just because like I'm also an engineer, like I don't
Mhm.
I don't have to have one and like leave the other, and
Yep.
just
Yep.
like being in this constant state of like, okay, who's right, who's wrong, like where, like who am I fighting today? It's like, no, like maybe let me figure out how to work with someone else, rather than just like trying to pick a fight, or trying to like find problems, or trying to find fault. And it's like watching someone like that talking to you, like watching different things that people might say, oh, this is controversial. I'm like, you know, maybe I'll just let that person have their opinion. Like
Yeah.
they'll I don't have to engage with them. If someone's all of a sudden just like abrasive, like, oh, I don't want to hear this, I'm like, okay, like I don't
Yeah.
have to talk about that, but
Yeah.
maybe I can talk to them, or just listen to what they're saying. Or sometimes I'm like, I don't have to entertain so many voices to just be like, okay, who do I need to please today? Like
Mhm.
what do I need to appease, this, that, and the other? But just hearing, like, one thing that watching his videos taught me is that people do seek to understand, and they seek out the information they feel they need or that they're lacking. And um, regardless of what the world says, or the media, or like whatever the noise of the day is, it's like when someone needs something, or like if there's a message out there, or a word, or like a talk, or a discussion, like people are more inclined to like find it. And I think that's kind of the beauty of having the internet, where it's like, okay,
Yeah.
you can
Mhm.
search something out, you can listen to it for yourself, and you can form an opinion without having
Mhm.
to label it right off the bat and just be like, there's nothing I can learn from this. There's no reason for me to engage in it. And even in like bringing the name up before, like I've heard some people, like some people that I've seen, that I'm like, oh yeah, that's why I like you as a friend, because it's like you don't just go for the immediate thing. And even
Yeah.
other people that I'm like, man, I wish we could talk about something from this perspective, or this particular
Mhm.
video, they just pushed it back. And I'm like, you know, I think we can still be friends. Like I don't have to I don't have to discuss every waking idea that I have. It's like, if you don't want to talk about it, that's fine. Like
Mhm.
it doesn't make you worse of a person. It's just, this is where I'm at currently. This is information that I'm seeking to know, or just curious about, like, okay, yeah, it's been said before. I need to be well groomed. Like if I'm
Mhm.
going to be like just how you present yourself, your first impressions, things like that. And just being able to look at somebody and like look, like going up instead of rolling over and just scrolling through my phone. I'm like, okay, let me look at my face before I go to work. And like being able to go to work and like have someone poke at me and be like, man, I hadn't seen you in a week because I've been working on the road or something. And I was like, yeah, I'm just hiding over in my corner, but maybe I'll I'll come out now and just say hi to you from time to time. But it's
Right.
just that's why I was curious to ask, because like I came across it and I'm sure there's like I did feel a bit of that resentment, a bit of like vitriol or something like that. But at the same time, like just allowing myself to practice how to hear something and knowing what to keep and what to let go of, and not to idolize someone and to be like, okay, this is someone that I think did a good job in pointing out things that people never want to discuss or rarely want to
Hmm.
discuss. But it
Hmm.
was also positive to see that women in particular like allowed some of their opinions to be challenged, and they allowed themselves to learn to where it's like, okay, everyone isn't one thing, all men aren't one way, all women aren't one way. It's like
Hmm.
people, depending on where you find them in their life, they're willing to they're willing to engage in dialogue. And when you see like somebody doesn't just show up to a conversation ready to throw a fight, like, I heard you said this, it's like, hold up, I don't know you, what's your name, who are, like, tell me something about you. And it's like, oh, this is who I am. And it's like, oh, okay, like, are you are you looking for fans? Are you just pitching your
Yeah.
show? You shouting? It's
Yep.
like, why are you doing that? Like, I'm a human, you're a human. Let's have a conversation. And then actually seeing people that leave conversations and then they later report that they were better for that. It's like, wow, okay, like the world isn't all it's not falling apart. It's like you just got to exercise those muscles a little bit and just make an effort to like see how people are
Hmm.
doing things and hear it from their words.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely agree with that. I mean, I definitely feel that people are entitled to their own opinion. And like I mentioned, I generally give people, you know, my thoughts and whatever, and I don't hold any, I don't hold them to it. Say, hey, follow this and all of that. I'm gonna say this. You go off and just want to do something that's completely opposite from it. That's fine, but I gave you something to think about. I
Right,
mean,
right.
you think to do this or think to do that. Maybe I help you say, oh no, I definitely want to do that. I'm gonna do this. I still
Mm.
still help
Yeah.
in a sense. So, but one thing I want to mention, you mentioned the the church piece. I know for me, I have listened to a lot of people online, and about their about the Bible and stuff like that. And I feel like I'm at a space where I'm like, all right, I've listened to people long enough. I still need to get own understanding for myself. So I've looked into other resources to help me along with that. I mean, I know you mentioned that
Yeah.
that particular church got you to kind of dive into the Bible a little more. And I would say over the last few years, I run into churches that have driven me to do that too. I know the last church that we were at before we came to this one. Well, not that church, but the church before that. Because we were living in Marietta, went to
Mm.
a church that was close up there. We moved to
Mm.
Lilburn. We were still attending that church. We was like, man, this drive
Yeah.
is it's crazy. So we were like, let's find something that's closer to here. So we did find a uh large church that was close to here. Good church.
Mhm.
But for us, we kind of wanted a smaller environment because that was a mega church. They had multiple locations, huge.
Yeah.
We wanted something small. So we did find something smaller, has the same sense and feel of the other place, just smaller, more intimate. And in that space, that's where we met this marriage group, really got involved. And I feel like, the combination of all those churches that we've kind of been exposed to, kind of led me to kind of dive deeper into, hey, let me find understand this stuff for myself. We found some additional resources. I don't know if you're familiar with the Bible Project, but that's one resource that definitely goes deep into I don't want to say the history of the Bible, but it does in a sense. But it kind of helps you understand how the Bible is kind of broken down, speakers, their thought behind it, and everything. So it's definitely enlightening me to really read certain stuff in the Bible differently, or kind of think about it as I'm going through it.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Can you tell me a
definitely
little bit more about it? I don't think I've heard it before.
yeah. It's I mean it's a it is a nonprofit. Their whole mission is to basically break down the Bible and help people better understand it. So they have a website, they have an app that you can go, and they have different I guess series that you can go through to kind of they break down the Bible. So it'll say, for instance, it broke down the Bible where it says that some are poetry style, some are historical style, and
Mm.
things like that. It kind of breaks it up that way, and it walks through, the thought behind it, what they were thinking,
Yeah,
and really, really kind of answer some questions that you may not have even thought about.
right,
So
right.
it's definitely opened my mind to a lot of things. And I've actually have another book that goes into some details and stuff like that. So I'm really into, okay, how's this broken down so I can better understand what they're saying.
Right,
Because
right.
now when I read through like Psalms or something like that, I'm like, okay, so they said this is this particular type. So let me think about it in that sense. And then I'll
Mm.
think about, okay, this is the speaker, this is what they were going through during this time. So it kind of gives me more over context behind it.
Right.
Definitely a good resource. I mean, it goes has videos. It kind of shows you some stuff as well. They just have some audio type of stuff as well in there too. So it's a mix, definitely a mix. So in my
Gotcha.
opinion, definitely been a good resource for me. Um,
Yeah, I guess I think I've seen something like that. I was trying to look it up. Like one thing an, a previous guest shared with me was a podcast called Bima, and basically
okay.
it's like he's explaining how, in a similar way, like how the Bible is written from an Eastern perspective, and seeing like here's how here's how people wrote it with poetry,
Mhm.
and like using
Yep.
symbolism, for instance. And
Yep.
like
Yep.
he kind of went through it and like explaining the book of Genesis, like the first chapter, and seeing like,
Mhm.
okay, it's not just repeating itself just to be, it's not just repeating itself to like to repeat itself. It's like there's meaning to it. And it's like, okay, if you see so many numbers of this, like numbers mean something in this language. And um like you have the beginning where it's like, okay, it starts in verse 1 where it's
Mhm.
like nothingness and chaos, or it's like there's just like an event happening, and
Yep.
then in the end it's actually the first verse of the second chapter where it's like, okay, because like, and the way that they noted it, it's like, okay, this is something called a chiasm, where it's when you see a pattern like this, you see a beginning and you see an end, it's like an arrow that points back to the center. And it's this, basically the way that they kind of explained it, it's like the first, either all of Genesis or like the first 12 chapter of Genesis, are like the preface
Yes.
to introduce you to the family of God, or
Mhm.
like the family of Israel, to say, okay, this book is telling you that this is about, you have like a God that knows when to stop creating, and a God that knows when to stop destroying, or a God that knows when to say enough. So then like the creation story doesn't become a debate about, okay, was the world literally created in 6 days, or is it the Big Bang? And it's like you're not having a scientific debate in something that's not scientific. And it's like, no,
Right.
if you see this pattern here, it's like it happens here, and it happens multiple places, and like you find the pattern where it's like, oh, okay, like why are you looking at day and night, and then you have stars showing up 4 days later, and it's like what's so special about stars, seasons, and things like that? And it's like, oh, like the thing that they respect is the Sabbath, or the rest period. And it's like you're reminded to rest by the stars, like
Mhm.
the, because maybe I'm getting too deep into it, but like just the way that they laid out just the first chapter, and how
Yep.
many layers there were to it, I was like, okay, I don't know how many times I've listened back to it and listened back to it, and I was like, oh wow. And actually asking the gentleman Marty Solomon, he wrote a book called Asking Better Questions of the Bible. And it's like
Mhm.
it's you're encouraged to actually ask questions. And if something
Yep.
doesn't make sense, it's like, oh no, this is an opportunity to learn. This is like a little
Yep.
treasure
Yep.
here that says, hey,
Absolutely.
like instead of just getting the old, oh, because the Bible said so, because in like somebody just starts like rehearsing something that they've said, and I'm like,
Mhm.
maybe I want to believe that that means something to you, but like when you just keep like
Yep.
you keep trying to like force this thing and just being like, it is what it is and it is what it is. And I'm like, okay, like I want to believe you, but please stop. Stop like stop trying to the words coming to me in French, but it's like stop trying to like manhandle me to be like,
Yeah.
it is what
Right.
it is. And it's like, whoa,
Right.
like I don't learn that way. I don't learn by
Right.
force, but like if you can show me the pattern, it's like, oh, okay, like I can understand a picture, I can understand this, and like
Mhm.
this is why something applies like thousands of years later, and it's not just like goggly gook or like
Mhm.
woo woo or whatever people would say, but just like being able to see something that's practical or explained in that way, I'm like, I'm grateful for this, but I can also see why people could get it wrong and just kind of
Mhm.
want to go in that, because it's like you figure out something and you're like, it's
Yeah.
not, I guess the aim isn't always to just like, what's the term, like punch your fist in the air or just like punch somebody in the face to be like, hey, look, like I got this, I got,
Mhm.
it's like you can
Right.
be proud of
Right.
something that you did, but like it doesn't need to be like I'm right so everyone's wrong, and like
Mm.
the world
Yeah.
is kind of
Yeah.
just built in my way, and then like everybody else that doesn't believe this is like just doesn't fit or doesn't belong. But it's neat to see that. But to your point, that's what I was getting at, was the church aspect, and like just kind of learning to understand differently and just being
Mhm.
around other people that are also curious to just be like, okay, hey, like I am curious to see someone else, maybe that doesn't look like me, that but maybe they have something to offer that could help me in my predicament or help me where I'm trying to get to.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's important in a lot of perspectives. I mean, I know, um, it's been mentioned in church and even in the Bible that God is wanting us to be in community and not be by ourselves.
Yeah,
That's for very variety of reasons. Support, to help with understanding because everyone has different perspectives, so they see things differently. So, it's definitely important to, that's why it's definitely important to kind of get out.
yeah, yeah.
So,
I definitely don't. One thing that I've noticed about myself is that I don't like being right all the time or feeling like I'm just kind of sitting in an echo chamber to where I'm like
mhm,
everything that I get, news or like like everything that I consume, I want it to help me, but I don't want to just see things that are screaming at me or things that are just kind of
yep,
like petting me on the back, but like something that's encouraging to listen and learn or just like
mhm,
just even engage with. I'm like, oh, okay, like that's why it's like I enjoy going to work, or that's why it's like, oh, like I feel like I'm missing something from that church community where it's like it might be awkward at first, or if someone's just so
mhm.
excited to just be like, hey, like, are you coming back? Are you doing this? I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. It's like I just met you. Ease up. Like, let me let me work my way into this. Like, I think I like it. I think I'll come back. I I can't have you like messaging me every single day and like wanting to visit me at my house. I'm like, hold up. Like, let's have some boundaries. I like
Mm.
you guys. Allow me to come back on my own terms and then
Right.
build a rapport and things of that sort.
Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah, that's one of the things that I like about the mayor's group. I mean, we came the first time. we weren't messaged 100 times. Hey, you come back? Hey, you come back? I mean, it was a good atmosphere. So we just came back.
Yeah.
They're happy to see us. We kind of, begin to form some relationships there. I mean, we still don't talk like every day. Hey, how you doing and all that.
Mhm.
We catch up when we can. We understand that everyone has, kids, different stages. Some are older, some are younger, some are still having kids. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, we definitely stay connected to kind of keep each other supported via group message, or some of us may get out in smaller groups to kind of support each other. So it's real good to have. So real good to have, especially um, you know, bunch of brothers that we can, I can talk to about different things. So
Yeah. That's good. I mean, especially even if it's just like the one day a week that you can gather or whenever
yeah,
you can, it's good to like when you see someone you haven't seen in a while, but like you're able to just pick right up where you left off. That's
yep,
a good feeling.
yeah. That's how I feel now. I mean, we haven't really we
I
haven't
was
really
like, it's
talked.
been 2 years, like man,
Yeah, yeah,
but I
yeah, man.
appreciate you doing this.
Oh, no problem, man. No problem. That's why I definitely look forward to. As soon as you said that, I was like, yeah, let's do it, man. It's been a while. We need to catch up. We definitely had a deep conversation here about different things. I know we didn't talk about Christian walk last time, so it's definitely interesting topic for
Yeah.
this time around. So
Well, I guess
yeah.
I got a little bit off my chest there. And I was like, I,
Hey, but that's what
I,
happens in these conversations. Things are sparked. I mean, you got me thinking as you were talking at the beginning. So yeah, it happens.
yeah, but I guess to is there anything that I hadn't touched on that you want to touch on?
Um, I think that's it for the most part. I think what else has happened over the last few years. Nah, man, we've been helping people. That's been a joy to us just to kind of support each, short people in their different phases. Some are going back to school, some are single, some are getting married, some are having kids. We've been able to kind of share our experiences. And even within our group of friends, people were branching out to do businesses. So we've been
Mm.
supporting them through that. They've been supporting us. So it's definitely good to have that community, as I mentioned. I know I mentioned that her cousin has a event hall.
Mhm.
We're definitely looking to do that sometime in the future. So we're definitely listening, looking at what she's doing, and understanding her challenges and how we can navigate that. Um, some of the stuff she's going through is just, it is what it is. It's a process.
Yeah,
So we definitely had that understanding early on. But definitely have been using our community as ways to learn and ways to kind of give back. So
yeah. You definitely encouraged me when you're talking about the design part a little bit, and I was like, I might need to just drop a bug in your ear, just kind of talk a little bit, just be like, maybe I haven't been utilizing resources properly, or
mm,
just having conversations, be like, hey, how did you do this? And
right,
just kind of knowing, because it's one of those things, like you said, having family here or cousin there, being able to plug into a small group and different things. It's like we don't we don't have to do everything by ourselves, and and
no,
it's like just kind of letting go of that notion. I'm like, you don't know what a conversation will lead to, but it's
right,
good to touch base, connect, and just be like, okay, let me see where things are, instead of maybe making an assumption that like got to start over, or like how am I going to figure this out? And it's like, I hadn't thought about that for a few months, but now like
right.
I think I have a way forward.
No, no, it's definitely been great. Meeting people that are open. I mean, even within that group, they're doing various things. Some have their own businesses as well. Some are in different careers. Some are one person in the group is a lawyer.
Mhm.
There's some financial people in there too. And they don't shy away from sharing whatever knowledge they have. So definitely,
Gotcha.
yeah, community is important for sure. I mean, you
Yeah.
never know where a conversation will go. But I had a conversation with one of the guys. And yeah, I actually didn't know what he did. And then he started talking. I said, "Oh, you're a police officer? Oh, I did not know. I did not see that one coming. But okay, yeah. So yeah, you learn a lot.
That's
So
what's up.
now I know if I have any questions related to that, no person I can call, and so yeah, it's definitely good to kind of just get to know people.
Do you know Alex Harrison?
No, I don't.
I'm trying to think because I think we all went to Spusu,
Let's see what you
and
said.
he does designs too. Like he does mainly like t-shirts design. And for like when you mentioned it at first, I was like, that's what popped into my head. But
Oh, okay.
I might message you guys together and just kind of introduce in case you're
Okay.
in the surrounding area.
Oh, sounds good. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But let people know where they can find you online. And who knows, you might just be getting an extra influx of others and having to like branch out.
Right. Yeah. So event planning business. We're Dr. Events on Instagram and drevents.com. That's our website. For the design stuff, we are uh, Dr. Designs. So, and the name, reason why it's the name for both of those. My wife is a pharmacist. She has her PharmD, so she has that doctorate degree.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of where the name was kind of born for both of those. So drevents.com for Dr. Designs, we're on Instagram as well. A lot of stuff is posted there. For the website is yourdoctoratedesigns.com.
Hmm.
So that's where you can find both of them for the business. But for me, um, I'm on LinkedIn, Michael Agbaere. You can definitely connect with me there. Instagram, I'm not really on that. I'm not really on that much, so I don't even remember my handle on there. But yeah, you can definitely find me around on any of those channels.
Awesome. Thank you again for the time today, and it's a
Hey
pleasure
man,
catching up.
yeah, likewise, man. I enjoyed this. So yeah, definitely look forward to the next catch up. So yeah, thanks for letting me do this again.
Yes, sir.
All right, man.